Okay, thank you so much, everyone. While you're taking your seats, I just want to take a few minutes to recognize some folks. First, I want to thank our partners at TACO for having us and hosting us, in particular Cheryl Merchant. I see over here, she'll be up in a second, and Leslie Tato, which I believe is she's still outside. Of course, I want to thank Governor McKee, Department of Labor and Training Director Matt Weldon, Jay Hauser from the Rhode Island Division of Statewide Purchasing, Jason Kelly, he's the new lead from the Chaffee Center for International Business at Bryant, Christian Cowan, who we all love from Polaris MEP, Dave Chenevert, our Executive Director of RIMA, and our commerce staff. I believe we have Chris Canada, Daniela Fairchild, Melody Weeks, Lisa Carnavale, Doris Blanchard. Mom staff, thank you so much for all the work you've done to make this come together. So thank you all for being here today. I want to explain how we got to be here and what's happening. So this is after a huge effort of hearing from manufacturers. So we looked at some data a couple of years ago when I first started in the position of secretary that was showing us that our manufacturers, their productivity levels were going slightly down. And when we found ourselves talking to the manufacturing community, we found that very often they had their heads down. They're working 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week and weren't necessarily aware of some of the programs that the state had to offer. So Melody Weeks and Chris Canada led their team, and they went out and visited well over 100 manufacturers to really get into the nitty gritty of what is it that you need? What are your particular concerns? How can we make sure that you continue to grow in Rhode Island, stay in Rhode Island, keep those employees here in Rhode Island, and make those businesses thrive? And it's resulted in several programs that at least Commerce will be announcing to you today. But rather than just announcing these programs, some of which are coming out now, but they'll start to come out for other parts of this winter, we said, why don't we get all of the most important information that our businesses need so that you can hear from everybody? So that's why we have Matt Weldon here and Polaris and others so that you can get a sense of everything that's possible to you, not just with Commerce RI, but with other aspects of the state and other nonprofit and other entities that we work with. And so this is very much a result of our outreach to you to hear what your particular needs are. We are videotaping this as well on Zoom, so there are folks watching there. We will also record it and be able to show it later. So for those of you who are part of organizations that want to take this and show it to your partners so they can take a look at it another time, that's great. Because what we hear often is, how am I supposed to know, right? Like, it's probably the most common thing that I hear is, how am I supposed to know about whatever it might be? And so this is an attempt to be able to say, all at one time in one space, here's everything that we think that you would be interested in. And then it's up to you to really say, ooh, I want to reach out to that person, that person, that person, because I think I want to follow up and get some more information on them. So we won't be diving into the weeds here with this. It's very much an overview of what's available and possible for you. So before we get started, I just wanted to ask Cheryl to come up and say a few words as our host. And right here, if you want to just say a few things to welcome us, we're so glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz. So my job is just to say welcome to TACO. That's pretty much it. I think I could sit down now, but I do. Governor, it's so good to see you and I. I don't know if everybody knows, but we go back 25 years working together when he was a lowly mayor of Cumberland and saving my Patuca multiple times. So it's great to see you all here. It's a pleasure to be able to host you. Liz, we sit on so many boards and whenever she reaches out, it's a pleasure. So I've got some of my own team in here. We are excited to hear some of the things that you are doing. TACO, if you don't know right now, is growing astronomically. We have pretty much in the last 5 years, pretty much doubled. And so we have the new Fall River plant. We are making extensions here. We've put a new plant in Texas. We've got them everywhere. But our headquarters is solid right here in Rhode Island, where all of our engineering is, where all of our finance, where all of our major hub on how we run the rest of the company. And it's a pleasure to be part of this state, to have our officials that are always at reach, whenever we call. And so to be able to return that favor and welcome all of you here today is a true honor. All right. So if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. She's in charge. Let her know. But I am just, it's a pleasure. All right. So enjoy, everybody.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. If you didn't see, there are some breakfast treats out there, and I believe the restrooms are which way?
This way and just past the booth or just past the food, go through and restrooms on night.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. We have a great lineup of folks who are here to share so much with everything today, but it would not be possible without the strong support of Governor McKee. So thanks to the governor, we've got real momentum going. I know he likes to use that word, and it's true. There's real momentum going in Rhode Island. All of our numbers are showing incredible growth amongst the state. We at Commerce RI, where the governor is the chair of the board, just recently approved awards for Organogenesis, a life sciences company, Saab. You may remember them as a car company, now doing lots of things with motors, and Anduril, a defense company. And so the board that the governor chairs is really active with those past deals, as well as a bunch that are in our pipeline. And it's all about creating jobs for the state. But I'd like to have the governor say a few words himself. Governor?
Thanks. Thanks, Liz. Thanks, Secretary. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, Cheryl's the best. And I learned a lot from Cheryl during the time I was a mayor with the gyrations of manufacturing, the challenges that you have. And I think we've carried that over in the governor's office to where we know that manufacturing is a really important piece of our economy. And we want to be growing that, whether it's at Quonset, which we've invested a great deal into Quonset, and that's a growing area there, over 14,000 jobs now. I think it's grown by a couple thousand since I've been governor, and we continue to try to invest in those areas. And so I would just say that, yes, we've made a great deal of progress, right? With our GDP outperforming New England, outperforming the country, over the last year, that's really good. But we also know, anybody that's spent a lifetime here in Rhode Island know that the economy is a very fragile thing here in the state. And the path that we're on right now is a good one. But yet we really have to continue to really work hard to keep the economy growing. And that's what we're trying to do. And we can't do it without your help. I think if anybody was bored enough to watch the State of the State the other night, we talked about, I want to talk to the people who really love this state and the people who have this really strong sense of pride in their communities, because we're able to bring them to the table. I think that we can continue to work through a growth in the state. We're investing in education. I think that manufacturing needs education. Davies has been a champion. We put a lot of money at Davies to do some work there, 2 years ago. So, and then we're doing apprenticeship programs. Matt is championing an idea with the higher education commissioner Shannon Dielty to create this road to prosperity, where we're raising incomes in every household in the state and raising personal wealth. I'm going to maybe put a whole home ownership strategy in, so people that you're recruiting into your businesses as they're coming in, are young people, young talent. There's a path to home ownership. That is the American dream, and we can't lose sight of that. So everything that we're working on is geared towards creating an economy. And so we have this Rhode Island 2030 plan. And I'm proud of the fact that I don't think that we've had a plan in place that has survived as many years. We always have a white paper that comes out, right? I did. We always have a white paper that comes out, and then it goes on the shelf. Well, we have a 2030 plan that is an interactive site that we're into our third draft. And so there'll be another draft that'll come up in 12 to 15, 18 months, and it'll continually be a working document. We've never had that before. We've never had a long-term plan on the economy, and you can be part of that. Just go to the site. It's very interactive. And then you can kind of see exactly what the goals are. But we can reset the goals, right? And we may be resetting the goals in terms of the fact that there's stuff that's going on right now out of Washington that we don't really know what impact that's going to have on our growth. We know it's going to have an impact on our offshore wind. Because that's been pretty much frozen. But the good news is we already got ahead of that. So we have a project that's already in construction right now that's going to deliver about electricity to over 250,000 homes by 26 at a 9.8 cents kilowatts, which is a fair pricing strategy. So we got ahead of that one. That's going to happen. But we also have some other things that are in the pipeline that are going to get stalled. So we got to see what happens. The tariff issue I really want to hear from everyone here as we move forward over the next 6 months to a year, what that tariff issue means to our business, if anything. I think it will mean something, depending on what happens. And we need to make sure that, as I've said multiple times, I'm all in on Rhode Island. And so anything that really negatively impacts us from coming from any direction, including Washington, we need to really be vocal about it. But at the same point in time, we had great relationship with the Biden administration. It really helped us a great deal in the state. We're certainly we're cautiously optimistic that we can kind of figure out how to do the same thing with this administration over the next 4 years, because everything that impacts Rhode Island is what we want to be working on. So what you're talking about today, it does just that. And so I thank you for your leadership, and continually try to help us figure out how to keep the economy growing through the Secretary's leadership at Commerce. CDAR's over there working with small businesses. I'm all in on this idea. The 2030 plan, we're going to raise these academic outcomes. Since I've been governor, we've closed the gap between Massachusetts on our reading by 34%. We've closed the gap on math by 18%. And this is your workforce, right? This is your future workforce, right? So we're going to continue to work on that. The raising incomes. Matt has one job in his world, and he knows what it is. When he talks, he'll tell you what that job is. I'll keep it a secret for now. But yeah, we're going to raise incomes, and we're going to raise personal wealth. And then the last piece is this whole idea of being healthy enough to actually enjoy living in this, state that I'm proud to be governor of. So thank you for having me here today, and I'll listen in a little bit, right?
Thank you so much, Governor. One of the things the governor likes to speak about often is the 2030 plan, about how everybody's in it. So if you go to the website, you read the plan, you don't realize that your business, your needs, your concerns are represented in it, that we should be working on or trying to improve in some way, then please let us know so we can make sure that that is part of the 2030 plan. Now I'd like to introduce some folks in Commerce. So Chris Canada, who undertook that effort to really reach out to so many of the manufacturing businesses, as well as Daniela Fairchild, to give you an overview of some of the new programs, as well as some of the ones that we continually have at Commerce. And one of the things that I like to say about your relationship with Commerce is just, you should have a relationship with us, that you should try to reach out to us at least once a year to at least say, what's going on? What should I be knowing is happening? Because there's constantly an evolving array of programs, resources, things that are available. And I'll also say that, in my 25 plus years in the small business space, there are more resources for small businesses, free, almost always free, for all businesses than I've ever seen before. So it's an incredible time to be part of the small business resource community. And with that, I'll hand it off to Chris and Daniela to come up and speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Secretary Tanner. You stole my thunder with that last comment. Thank you, Governor. Thank you for all the presenters. I'm excited to be here today. And to echo Secretary Tanner's comments, what I want to do is provide just really brief overview of what we do, some key programs, introduce a new program. And then I really welcome the opportunity to meet individually, directly with you, with your company, to visit. That's essentially the way we love to provide support to the business community. So we do a lot of one-on-one business support. We meet with companies. My team is focused solely on Rhode Island-based businesses, ranging from early stage startups, entrepreneurs, all the way through seasoned long-term manufacturers here in the state. We can help with various resources. We always want to listen to the needs. We want to listen to the opportunities. We want to try to mitigate any issues. We work very well across all state agencies. We help companies with expansion, looking for properties. We're very eager to learn what the opportunities are and present programs that may help a business achieve those goals. Next slide, please. I'm pleased to introduce a new program, to which Secretary Tanner alluded to, a manufacturing equipment grant program that we are ramping up right now. It's going to allow up to $25,000 worth of grant funding to help manufacturers upgrade, purchase new machinery and equipment. It's 50% reimbursement. Purchases will be made after the application is submitted. And it's for small companies that need some extra assistance. We want to help manufacturers get to a point where they can either produce more product or scale their production. So it's for companies with gross receipts of less than 5 million and less than 50 employees. Application will be available on February 5th, and we'll have more details as the program rolls out. As far as information will be available next week. When I speak to lending, we meet with a lot of companies, and first and foremost is the need to obtain financing, the need to obtain funding. What we do at Commerce is quite innovative in that we have a bunch of different resources. We have our Small Business Loan Fund, we have our Small Business Assistance Program, we have SSBCI money from the federal government, and we have the ability to issue tax-exempt bond financing. So what we like to do is listen to the company's needs. We always encourage a company to work with their bank, to work with us. Oftentimes, we meet with the CFO, the company's accountant, the company's banker, and we try to find innovative solutions to provide the capital that you may need to grow. And we often participate with banks, so we love if you come to us and you need $300,000 and your bank says, yeah, we're comfortable with the $100,000. We want to see how we can get you the remaining capital to expand, working capital, purchase equipment. So we're really eager to learn about that. And luckily, we have a plethora of programs to help provide additional resources. Next slide, please. This is the tax-exempt bond financing, especially for manufacturers here in the state. The Commerce, through its Rhode Island Industrial Facilities Corporation, can issue tax-exempt bond financing for manufacturing projects. Every state has the ability to issue these bonds. We do it here at Commerce, and typically it's a really great way to finance an expansion in the manufacturing sector. We can equipment, facilities, factory build-outs. So we like to explore opportunities with businesses. We like to determine what the best fit is, and we're happy to meet with you, with your banker, whomever you think necessary. But we want to just make sure you're aware of these resources because they could be pretty powerful. Next slide, please. I just want to mention some key tax credits and to echo Secretary Tanner's comments. This is high level. We're always happy to dig deeper. So I'll have my contact information later on. I'm always happy to have an individual conversation with you. So key tax credits. R&D tax credit. Rhode Island offers the highest R&D tax credit for C corporations, 22.5%. Essentially mimics the federal tax credit, and it allows you to apply for an additional 22.5%. We have an investment tax credit. Again, this is applicable to C Corps, but it's 4%, 10% for high-performing manufacturers. Qualified Jobs Incentive. This is a great program because it's a application-based incentive. And I love it because it's not only to help companies come into Rhode Island, it's to help companies in Rhode Island grow. So I love talking about this program. Essentially, if you're a company looking to expand, acquire a company, a project that you anticipate will add a number of jobs, we'd love to talk to you because this is a pretty powerful tax credit program which can help you derive some benefits to expanding here in the state. It's meant to make Rhode Island more competitive, and it's a great program. Next slide, please. Supplier I, this is one of our great programs in-house. What we seek to do is align smaller companies, suppliers, with the larger companies, anchors. And we have a team in-house at Commerce that does a lot of the matching and making, so to speak. So if you produce a product that you think, hey, another company around, a major corporation here in the state would benefit from, we can connect you with this program, and they work very closely with the anchors, and they work very closely with the suppliers to make the match when possible. Next slide. Apex Accelerator. This is another great program that we offer at Commerce. It's meant to help companies get ready to and to sell to the federal government, the defense sectors, municipalities, government. It's a team of people in-house. They do a lot of free counseling. They help companies get set up to bid. And we find a lot of interest from the manufacturing community when it relates to selling, opening up different verticals in which to sell. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's the old. Okay, I was going to mention a couple more, but the slide went. No, I just want to mention two more quick things. We do have a host of renewable energy programs. So to the extent that you're looking to add some solar to your facility, I meet with a lot of manufacturers who are using solar to power specific aspects of their factory. We have a host of commercial solar grant resources available. Keep that in mind, or we're happy to talk about that in more detail as well. Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. Doing well.
And Chris, actually, very quickly before you leave the podium, as you know, we're on Zoom, so we have one question that came in, just a clarification for the equipment grant qualification.
Yes.
Cynthia Tomaz is asking, is it revenue less than $5 million and 50 or fewer employees, or revenue less than 5 million or 50 or fewer employees?
And so, yeah, so revenue is small, focused on smaller companies, revenue less than 5 million and less than 50 employees.
Okay.
Thank you.
And to the secretary's point, the list keeps going. So we are, to what Chris noted, just speaking at a high level and are recording this on Zoom, as Chris also pointed out. So this will be available for everyone who's obviously frantically taking notes and trying to remember everything I'll say. But I'm going to talk about 3 programs, 2 that are coming online now and 1 that is presently available. The first that I'll talk about is the Manufacturing Succession Program. This is being funded through a congressionally designated spending grant that we received from our delegation. So we're very thankful for that opportunity, and will support particularly manufacturers looking at selling or moving on from their businesses. We know that we've heard a lot from the community that is something that many are considering. And so we wanted to make sure we were providing resources directly and dedicated for that community. The first step in this process is going to be doing a landscape analysis, really understanding what type of technical assistance, what type of supports you all as manufacturers or any in the room and on Zoom who might be interested in the program need. So there's a RFP, a request for proposals, that launched yesterday, is open through the end of February. That will bring someone in to help us do that work. So stay tuned, because we, to the governor's point, want to hear from you and want to understand exactly what your needs are so that we can tailor the technical assistance we're providing through this program directly for you all. So stay tuned for a bit more on that one, and spread the word on the RFP for the landscape analysis if anyone knows anyone interested. The second program that I'll talk about is presently open, and this is our Innovation Voucher Program. It's available for non-manufacturers, but what's interesting and helpful for manufacturers is that you all can do in-house R&D. So this is a grant up to $75,000 that can be used for research and development within your companies. If you're an established company and looking to develop a new product line, if you're a newer company looking to prototype and test a new model, we support sort of anyone across the spectrum through this program, and it is a non-dilutive up to $75,000 grant. So really great opportunity for our manufacturers to do in-house R&D. And the third program, which is also coming online shortly, is our brand new patent incentive program. We know that filing patents can be a cost burden for companies and for individual inventors. So this program will provide up to $5,000 in reimbursement for costs incurred filing those patents with the USPTO. We're going through the rules and regs process now to finalize all of the documentation that we need. We'll expect that to launch in the spring, and so stay tuned for more information as we get that online.
Great.
And so that's just our first 2 speakers. And you saw how many programs there were, lots of acronyms. We love acronyms in government. There's so many of them. So just keep notes, right? And figure out, I'm going to talk to Chris, I'm going to talk to Daniela. But there's just so many programs, right? And so people get overwhelmed so easily when they go to our website. And so that's why we encourage that relationship with us, particularly with our next partner, because they have their own whole list of acronyms and programs to announce. And so that's why I want to bring up my colleague and friend. He does such an amazing job at DLT, great workforce partners, Director Matt Weldon.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
The governor told you what my job was, so now since he's back, and I got to tell you, the governor looked at me dead square in the eye one day and said, "We want to make sure that every Rhode Islander makes more money." I said, "Yeah, that's great, good. I hope so." And he said, "No, it's your job, Matt, to make sure that everybody makes more money by the time, as we go forward with this work." And so it's a big ask, right? But I'm a big guy, so I'm happy to take it on and do what I can. So for the last year, I've been working with Shannon Gilkey, the commissioner of higher ed, with Liz and with the governor and his team. to go around and talk to people and hear about what makes their economy thrive. How does their labor market impact their business and how can they do better? We weren't necessarily looking for big home runs. I'm a sports guy. I was always a singles and doubles hitter. My son's a singles and doubles hitter, and they can be really productive. So we want to make sure we're using our time really well and investing in programs that work. We've been around. We had a lot of discussions. Shannon and I are happy to keep going around. Anybody wants to talk to me about workforce, Matthew.Weldon, MATTHEW.WELDON @DLT.RI.gov. Shoot me an email. I promise I'll get back to you same day and we'll work something out. I have great people on my team that can come and talk to you about the programs I'm going to go through real quick. I don't expect you to absorb any of this, but we are able to come out and meet with you. We're not trying to get in your way. We don't want to be a hindrance into what you're trying to do, but there are some good programs that you could avail yourselves of. And, they're available at different times of the year. We'd like to keep them open all the time. It's all resource driven. The good thing is, after all this work, the governor, put a lot into this budget to really show that we're making an investment in a tough budget time. In total is about $14 million available for real jobs in the governor's budget, including the Job Development Fund and general revenue. General revenue, $5.4 million that we asked him to put in, and he did. And he said, you know what, on top of that, I'm going to change the way that we extend the job development tax. All of you pay that on your payroll, by the way. Who doesn't pay it? The largest nonprofits in the state that also benefit from the training programs. So this budget extends it to those large with 500 or more employees so they can contribute and also be part of this solution. $2.3 million more for the system coming in that way. There's a lot of good things happening. One of the things that we talked about quite a bit was employers have told us skills are what we need. Knowledge is great. Knowledge, to me, you earn through education and training. Skills are when you apply knowledge in a real life setting and you can develop skills. A little bit different. I know a young man that had a lot of knowledge, graduated with a great degree, didn't have a lot of skills. Took him a little bit of time to get a job. Now he's got a great job at a Cranston manufacturer doing very well. But we had to figure out how come he's not getting an opportunity sooner. So the governor, we talked about this, and through his leadership, we're investing in skill development and in work-based learning. His budget will add $2 million for general revenue to make sure that young people, high school, college, and adult trainees are all given opportunities to get work-based learning opportunities, which is through Real Skills for Youth and the Prepare Our Eyes summer program that we're going to talk about in a minute. So there's a lot of work over the next 5 months. We're going to get a lot done. You don't need to know all this. Governor's Workforce Board, gwb.ri.gov. That's the website to go to check out all the programs. Again, shoot me an email. I'm happy to be your concierge for all the different things that we do. These are all just the different things that my agency does. You can move on. Keep going. Okay, so I'm going to go through a number of programs really quickly. On the job training, federal program. So what's the catch with a federal program? There are eligibility requirements for the people that take advantage of these programs. So you can't just use it for anyone. They have to qualify under one of the different federal schemes. Who knows what that means in the future? Right now, the WIOA program, which is what funds this work, was set to be reauthorized when they were trying to make the last budget deal, and they didn't do it. So it's kind of in the balance right now. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. If the money continues to come in the way that it does, this program will continue to exist. It's a good program. It gives employers an opportunity to try someone out, to teach them on the job, and to get some reimbursement for that. Good news is we also have state programs that do that. So even if the feds pull this back, we'll have resources. Next, please. Work immersion. Speaking of a state program that does this, we asked years ago for employers to be willing to take a chance on someone, and the state stepped in with state money and said, we'll backstop you a little bit. So the risk is less. Please give them an opportunity. Now, if you're a smaller business, the reimbursement's higher. Under 25 employees, we'll give you 75% reimbursement. I believe it's up to 400 hours of work time. This was envisioned as a paid internship or an entry-level position. Let's try them out, and the state's going to help you with some of the costs involved with that. That program continues to exist. I believe it's open right now, and at GWB's website, you can find that information. Next. Incumbent worker training grants. This is a big thing and it has been for years. It's not always about trying to attract new talent. Sometimes employers talk to us and say, there are new technologies, new processes that I need to train my staff on. Thinking about manufacturing, there's new equipment. And I need to get everybody trained up so everybody's skilled and agile and we can be competitive and thrive in our economy. But we don't have necessarily the time or the resources. It would be great if we could, for instance, bring somebody in to be able to do that, to teach them how to use this equipment. Or if we can run classes, but it costs us money. And so what can we do, state? And the state will jump in and based on the size of your company, provide some resources to help you train your staff to keep you agile. Next, workplace accessibility grant, something I'm very proud of. It's small and it's really designed for smaller companies, but to make sure that every Rhode Islander has an opportunity to get involved in our economy and make an impact and realize their earnings potential. You know, a lot of times people don't because there are barriers. We provide small money grants to help companies make physical adjustments to their space to accommodate folks with that are differently abled. The Governor's Workforce Board put this out like a year ago. It was very successful. They've decided to keep going forward with this. Next, Real Jobs Rhode Island. Many of you may have heard of this. There are partners in the room, Polaris MEP, RIMA, We Make RI. We've worked across the manufacturing spectrum to make sure that we're doing something absolutely crazy. Getting government out of the way and letting industry tell us how to train their own people. Nuts, right? So we started doing that like in 2016, and it was very successful, really, really successful. Started out in a handful of industries with a handful of partnerships, 61 partnerships now in, I don't know how many industries across the state. We've helped 6,000 unique employers. We've served over 43,000 people through this program. And just this week, I got some preliminary data that said that entry-level wages for trainees have gone up again. So we're up about $13,000 or $14,000 from where they used to be. That's great. It means that they're making a difference. And these are all driven by the sector. So each industry sector gets together and tells us what they need. They work with trainers, they work with community-based organizations or labor or someone else, and they put proposals in, and then they get funded when we have the opportunity. And because of the governor's budget, we'll have more of an opportunity next year. We'll serve the people that we serve this year plus an additional 500 anyway in the Real Jobs program. That's great. Because the federal money that we relied on for so long, it's really hard to come by. You know, working with Christian, you know, they were able to get a grant that we played a part in. And yesterday there was a big meeting with the feds about what's going to happen with that money. And the good news is it looks like we're going to grab it and get right to work. That's really focused money. It's good. It's an opportunity then for us to use other resources for other projects. That may not happen with all the other federal opportunities we have. In fact, there's one of that I'm aware of that they're not going to let us keep. And so we're fighting every single day. We've never had to deal with this kind of thing before. Next, this is just some information about some of the different partners that we've worked with throughout Real Jobs. You can keep going. Real Skills for Youth is like Real Jobs for Youth. So it's for 16 to 24 years old. And it helps them get meaningful work experience and plugs them in a way that gets them connected to our labor market and our economy, which is good because one of the challenges Rhode Island has had, it's an aging state. We have a disproportionately older workforce, and younger people are not connected to the economy the way they were 20 years ago. In fact, significantly less labor market connection, labor force participation for younger people now. So getting them involved early, giving them some exposure that means something, whether it be through CTE programs, whether it be through focused training initiatives, it gives them an opportunity to see what it's like and to create their pathway. And we hope that that pathway leads to great manufacturing jobs here in Rhode Island. I know that my 22-year-old son works for a manufacturer in Rhode Island now as an engineer, all because of programming that happened when he was in high school. Next. Summer internships at Prepare Ride. This is a premier program. It's like the sister program to Real Skills for Youth. High school juniors about to become seniors get paid by the state to work essentially full-time for the summer. They can make like $4,200 for the summer. It's good to put some money in their pocket. It also opens their eyes to great career paths. And I know firsthand, I've seen how that can really change someone's life. The governor's budget's going to provide an opportunity for another. It was 350 kids last year, and I think 330 completed, and we're going to add another 100 this year through this budget. So that's a really good opportunity. And we're asking employers to contact us to provide opportunities for these young people to really get some good experience. Next. Okay, keep going. These are just some highlights. The Process Technologist was a great program because it spanned across different industries. And We Make RI, which we do a lot of work with Barbara Jackson to make sure that we're really giving people opportunities to get connected to good manufacturing jobs. Next. And I think you can just go through it at this point. It's available online. Keep going. This is the grant that we're talking about. I'm far from expert in it, but it's a good, Liz and her team and Daniela have been really leading the charge on the blue economy work in Rhode Island and how we do all that we can to give people opportunities in this sector. We know it's a really good growth opportunity for Rhode Islanders. I think I read Christian's comments recently about how this can really be like the next economic driver for our state. We're there. And luckily, this grant that we're able to pull in together with Commerce and with Polaris is going to put $3.8 million into the economy and into this work for the next couple of years. Really good stuff. Next. Okay. Matthew.weldon@dlt.ri. I challenge you. Email me and see if I email you back. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you so much, Matt. Now you understand why it's so easy to get confused, right? Like so many acronyms. It's just truly incredible how many we have. I just want to acknowledge Jim Bennett. He walked in. Just wanted to say hi, President of the Commerce Corporation. Our next speaker is a little different than what we normally do. So when we were talking about the agenda for this event, I talked to Dave Chenevert and he said, you know, I'm getting some people who are asking about how to work with the state. And so we reached out to Jay Hauser, the new leader of the purchasing department, and I had not even met him before. And we said, hey, you know what? This is great. Like, we're really excited to have you. So this is the first time we're meeting in person. We're really excited to have him here, but Jay's here to talk about how to work with state purchasing.
Good luck, Jay.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jay Hauser. I am the new procurement director and the state purchasing agent for the state of Rhode Island. Many of you may have worked with Nancy McIntyre, who was the previous incumbent. Nancy left at the end of last year. So I've been in with the state since early December. I'm excited to be here. I want to thank TACO for holding this opportunity this morning. Thank everyone for being here, those joining online. Procurement is very near and dear to me personally. I've spent the preponderance of my career at the federal level with federal agencies, driving federal procurement. Now I'm here with the state. And I think we have ample opportunity for the future to educate industry partners as well as continuing education for our state agencies on how to procure imminent capabilities, imminent goods and services faster, on time, and of the utmost quality, right? I'm a big believer in continuous improvement, strategic procurement engagements, and it's going to be the Division of Purchases mission for the next 12 to 24 months to continue these industry engagements to ensure that we are maximizing visibility and transparency over how we do business at the state of Rhode Island, how you can become involved, and more importantly, how you can educate your workforce on, continuing that legacy moving forward, right? I think a lot of times industry partners have our subject matter experts that are well-versed in procurement and purchasing processes, but typically it's the workforce behind you that doesn't have that level of expertise, right? Singular points of failure, right? Oftentimes we find that we lose touch with industry partners because, the communications die and there's not that engagement. So we're going to make it an initiative to come out and hold industry events. We have additional trainings. We have RFP trainings. We have pre-qualification trainings, just an abundance of training that we want to bring to industry partners to continue that spirit of increased transparency and visibility. So today we're going to go over just a brief but impactful PowerPoint. It's only 8 slides, just to give you, just the rundown of what we do. But we are happy to connect with each and every one of you in more detail about how you can become involved, how you stay involved, and really join us in our initiative to make procurement a more strategic engagement. So I do have my deputy, Meredith Skelly, with me. She's an expert on leading this training. So I'm going to turn it over to Meredith.
Well, thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. I also want to say thank you, Governor McKee, TACO, and Commerce for sponsoring today's event. I'm Meredith Skelly. I'm a deputy purchasing agent, one of 2 over in our division. Just briefly wanted to say with the new year, we did see a change in our leadership. So our former leadership, left us on a very solid foundation, but I'm really truly looking forward to the new leadership that Jay is going to bring us. I feel like a lot of innovation is going to come out of this, as well as progressing a lot of our initiatives. within the division itself, because we do need to continue to modernize our operation. We've made significant strides forward in that area, but we will continue to do so. We're also looking to increase a lot of our stakeholder collaborations between organizations like this, as well as the vendor community, which is a very important aspect of our operation here. So with that, we're basically trying to make all the proper connections, because we are all here to serve the people of our state. So I wanted to welcome you as our new purchasing agent, director of procurement, and I'm looking forward to the future with you. So what does the state purchase? Well, we do just about everything and anything. You name it, we buy it. I'm about 10 years young with the state, and every day I'm pleasantly surprised, like, wow, that is a new commodity. So we go everything from goods, services. We'll go anywhere from landscaping, plumbing, consultants, and then we'll get more into the good sides. You'll see office supplies is a big one. One of the ones that surprised me when I started was fish food, but it's a very important thing to DEM. It helps their hatcheries survive and thrive. And then that becomes a program where they can generate revenue off of licensing for their fishing programs and things like that. So there's a lot of commodities going through our operation on a daily basis. One of the things I do recommend with folks is please do register. We have an online procurement system called Ocean State Procures. But when you register as a vendor in there, you're able to select commodity codes and associate them to your account. And that's how you're going to get notifications of different opportunities. Because just like the weather changes every 5 minutes in Rhode Island, so do our needs. So if you don't see an opportunity as of right now today, I guarantee you within a week, something is going to pop up. So please do continue to monitor. We have a website that also posts of all of our opportunities, which we'll go over in a moment. But registering is a very important part, because that's how we can communicate all of this business opportunities out to you. And hopefully something is of interest and you'll join us on that adventure. So we also do partner a lot, active partnerships with Commerce, as an event like today, but we also do participate in their Supply RI events as well as their Apex events. And these are very crucial connecting type of events to getting the vendors and the state agencies connected and getting these opportunities in front of folks. So with that, how do we purchase? Each of these 4 topics, I could wax poetic for a very long time on each, but I'm going to give you a quick rundown. The request for proposal is a bidding opportunity where we have this allows the agencies to do a little bit more of a deeper dive in making sure the connections are appropriate to what their scope of work is and the vendor and what their resources can provide in response. So usually that's a 2-phase evaluation. We have technical and cost as part of it. We also have a traditional request for quote process. This is more straight up goods, lines. We're just asking for pricing. So you'll see those are 2 very common vehicles that we use, in partnership with the agencies, again, to bridge and make those connections with the vendor community. Another big one we do here is master price agreements. You may or may not be familiar with those, but these are essentially, it's like a qualified list of vendors. So the first phase, and I'll go again in a little bit more detail. The first phase is to get you on the list. And then as the agencies or the municipalities have an opportunity, they'll go out and do mini bids off of this. It is just a vehicle that makes things a little bit more efficient. You don't have to do one of the top 2 each and every time. We try to make this a little bit more efficient and making these connections. We also do have a construction management at risk program. These are usually awarded to a prime vendor. But I do want to call these out here because you can always, in the vendor community, there are subcontracting opportunities with these prime vendors. So as they, work to building new schools or, to expand a college campus, whatnot, they're going to be looking for that type of team support. So this is always something you can reach out to that prime and hopefully make that's another possible business opportunity and connection that you can make. So this is our website. We try to put as much information as possible in front of everybody from the vendor audience as well as to the agency audience. It is ridop.ri.gov. On our homepage, we have these three main landing zones. So one is doing business with us. This is kind of the FYI on all the different programs, or if you just need to know what's the registration link to get into OSP, all of that is up there. The bidding opportunities, this is where I definitely recommend when you're looking for business opportunities with us as the state. Please definitely go here because we will post all of the state agency bids. We also have the link to the construction management at risk program. We also have an external posting board. So we do try to support our municipalities, cities, towns, and whatnot. So we want to get them the real estate up, try to bring it all together. So as a vendor community, it's hopefully becoming a one-stop shop for you all. And then the master price agreements, all of those will be posted up there as well. So you'll see there's about 200 plus in our portfolio right now. And again, we range from, you name it, it's up there. But we also have a lot of training resources that are available up there. Again, we have a new training coordinator with us these days. So we are always looking to expand the resources that are available to you because we want to make sure our Ocean State Procure system is online 24/7. Therefore, we want the supporting resources to be online 24/7 for you as well. So, as I mentioned before, the master price agreements, these are a very vital type of procurement that we do in our office. These are statewide applicability. We allow it's not just the agencies, but our cities, towns, municipalities, institutions of higher education, as well as we also recently introduced the Navy. They are all using these. So the first step here is to if you're interested, please definitely take a look at what we offer. Again, the commodities are very wide ranging. And if you're interested, there's usually a corresponding solicitation. The first step is here to please respond to that solicitation. Please submit a proposal. We want as many vendors as possible on these. Because the more available, the more the state can quickly function and get all the resources out that we need to serve our people of Rhode Island. So some of these also too, as in their design, we do have some of them as open enrollments, which means typically we post most of our solicitations for 28 days. But with some of these master price agreements, we'll actually extend that type of posting period, sometimes up to 3 years. And the reason behind it is we constantly want to get new vendors on the list. We don't want it to be locked in for a 2 to 5 year contract opportunity with only 5 vendors. We want as many as possible. So please definitely take a look at that. Yeah, so the next part would be part 2 here is once you are on this qualified list of vendors, then the state agency or the municipality, a project is going to come up. And when that project comes up, they're going to issue a scope of work and they're going to go to this qualified list of vendors. And hopefully one of your organizations is on it. And they're going to reach out and start to do some quoting with you. So you can see how this initial qualification we do up front. So when they're ready to do that business, this is going to react to them very quickly and be a lot more nimble as a procurement methodology for them. One of the things we do strongly recommend, I mean, there's a lot of detail on these 2 slides, because again, I can go very much into detail on these, but once you're on the list, please make sure you maintain your contact information, keep that up to date during the life cycle of this, because as those projects arise, we're probably going to need a quick turnaround. We need a plumber and it's an emergency situation, the pipe burst or whatever. We're going to need to respond to those things very quickly. So please keep your contact information as current as possible. So when those projects arise, we can get out and reach out to you as quickly as possible. So this one, again, I'm not going to go into a lot here, but this is the construction manager at risk program. We're usually awarding these opportunities to a prime contractor. This list will fluctuate, but when you go onto this site, that's not necessarily an opportunity that you can bid on, but you'll see we've awarded it to that prime contractor. And if that's a project you know your company can also support, you can always reach out to that prime and see if there's subcontracting opportunities. Usually these are fairly decent sized projects, and they're always looking for additional team to make these happen. And as I mentioned, part of our modernization effort, I'm not sure some of you are familiar back in the day. I know when I first started, it was like, oh my God, people are actually driving to Providence trying to find a parking space to drop off proposals and DOT projects. These would come in massive boxes. The UPS would be dropping the stuff off. It was amazing. We have now eliminated that process, and now you can submit everything online 24/7. Which to me, I feel was one of the biggest wins the system ever provided. And all of this paperwork is now collected digitally. It's shared digitally as well. We do encourage you to register here. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, one of the key things is when you register, you can pick the commodity codes and associate them to your account. And that is going to generate email notifications of all the new bids. So you're going to hopefully be getting notice quicker and sooner than we have in the past. You can also ask their questions online. That was another thing that was, sometimes the purchasing agent would get a question on a bid, and then the buyer would get one and whatnot. This is now consolidating it all, bringing it into one resource again, and then our buyer can evaluate the responses accordingly with the agency partnered with them. And then ultimately you can submit those as well. So if you want to learn more about this, what we have started here is a more robust training program. We are offering bi-weekly vendor training sessions. We do cover everything from, we go a lot more in depth into how to navigate our website, how to look for these OSP opportunities, and just registration, approval process in general. And of course, we open it up to Q&A. We have a lot of subject matter experts, and we're there to help you and navigate the process with the division. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Jim.
Thank you, Meredith. Great job. Nobody panic. There's a lot here in 8 short slides, and I can promise you there's so much more supporting rationale as to what we do and how we do it. Again, we are happy to meet with industry partners to go over the specifics. We can pack a lunch. We can spend a couple hours going through the details. What is OSP? How do these RFPs work? And we are always open to receptive feedback. Like what works? What could better work for you? What's not working? What doesn't make sense, right? Strategic procurement involves all the stakeholders. It's not just the state of Rhode Island saying this is how we're going to do it. We're always open to, are we doing this the best way? Are we doing this the smartest way? And ultimately, is this the fastest way to procure these imminent capabilities? So we appreciate the time, 10 minutes with a short standard deviation on either side. We put the purchasing training site so that no one's specific inbox is flooded. Questions, concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, our staff. Thank you again for having us today. We look forward to working with all of you in a greater capacity in the future. Thanks, everyone.
Wow, that was incredible. I have to say, I learned a lot there in that presentation. And I think we're going to have purchasing do a roadshow with us at a lot of different things. So that was really great. So thank you, Jay. We're glad to have you on board in this new position. Speaking of a new person, and I can't even find him in the room, but we're looking for Jason Kelly. Jason Kelly is the new director of the International Business Group over at Bryant for the Chaffee Center. And we're really excited to talk about what he has to say. And again, just to point out, these are all of the things that are available. There's so many, and it does get overwhelming. But this is just sort of a high gloss to be able to get you interested in what's out there and to talk to your colleagues and your partners about what's possible. So, Jason, please let us know what we're doing at the Chaffee Center. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I think we still get to say Happy New Year, don't we?
Yes.
So Happy New Year to everyone. It's a Happy New Year for me. I just finished a 30-year career in the private sector, and having an opportunity to come over and work in economic development and higher ed is really a dream third act for me. So I'm so happy to be here, and Governor and Secretary Tim, thanks for the opportunity. I'm really more comfortable with my private sector hat on, so I'm going to keep it on for one more minute. and say, like, I loved Matt's presentation, the energy that he brought. My company in the early 2000s, we were being impacted by a lot of like technological change and a lot of business model change. And we were struggling, and we went to the Department of Labor and Training. I think back then it was the Human Resource Investment Council. And we got training to become ISO certified. Later on, we got training to put new technologies in. And it really transformed our company. So I would say to the manufacturers here, there are incredible resources that the state makes available in training. And it doesn't need to be a lot. I think for us, it may be added up to $40,000 over 3 projects, but our revenue went up 2,000%, I think, over the next 5 years. So thank you for that energy. Rhode Island is really, well, we know Rhode Island is unique, but it's unique in our international business approach, because rather than have it domiciled in Commerce only, Commerce does lead the process. The responsibility to create an international business hub lies in a private sector university, Bryant, and it has for almost 40 years. Many of you knew Ray Fogarty. Over 30 years ago, he brought me under his wing, and I learned firsthand, as a business owner, like really looking for innovation, you need to think out of the box, and to have a school of Bryant's reputation and assets involved in that process, I think it's been validated that that's a good spot, and we want to grow that moving forward. So for over 40 years, we have been Rhode Island's designated hub for international business. And really, the focus is about empowering Rhode Island small businesses and trade expansion. And I say trade expansion, people typically like to think of this just about export, but import is critical. Import is critical for manufacturers as well, and also the creation of partnerships. My dad, taught me that never bury the lead. So I better just say that if you remember one thing from this presentation, please, if you have any interest in doing business internationally, whether it's import, whether it's export, whether it's finding partnerships, please reach out to us at Bryant. There's going to be some detail in here about programs that we have, but I think if we gave a quiz at the end of today, we'd all probably do poorly. Bryant is one of the things that I'm excited about Bryant, even though I'm new to higher ed. In my former job, I worked with Bryant for years and years in open innovation initiatives. We paid students to do the international business practicum, and got a huge benefit from that. So that's something that Bryant offers. I also had the privilege of hosting World Trade Day a couple of times. And another amazing asset for businesses, manufacturers, to connect to an international ecosystem here in Rhode Island. We like to think that we are unique, and I think one of the things that you'll see moving forward is that we're going to be really further activating Bryant University assets. The governor had an opportunity to go to the inauguration of the new Belk building, the Business Entrepreneurship and Leadership Center at Bryant. And we really look forward to having that as our calling card and bringing people together, because face-to-face still matters, doesn't it? It's a paradox. In the world of technology now, the face-to-face becomes even more important. The next slide, please. So this is a 2-minute overview. I think probably one of the flagship programs that people know us for is that we manage the Small Business Association STEP grant program, state trade expansion program, and those are monies made to qualified Rhode Island companies that are looking to go to trade shows, looking to go to missions. That's really the lion's share of where those monies are provided. This year we have where is Ceci, by the way? Where are you? So this is my colleague Cecilia Perotto, who is the associate director, and she's leading a mission to Halifax coming up it's June, right? So stay tuned for that. So in addition to coming and visiting us, check us out on LinkedIn because we do a really good job of, I think, getting information out about not only the events, but really some incredible training that the Chaffee Center does that Ceci leads, as well as just consulting, business consulting. So, we connect with other programs like Food Export USA and many of the stakeholders that are here, in particular with commerce. We are making referrals all the time. And in addition to being responsible for creating this hub and really looking to help manufacturers export, we also have the role of supporting Commerce Rhode Island's efforts in FDI. There's really a very symbiotic relationship between export and the attraction of FDI. Just for starters, there are shared global supply chains that create that type of synergy. So as commerce leads FDI, we might be hanging out in places that they don't, and we're hoping to send leads over and bring new companies to the state. So this is the team. We're small, we're hungry. Ceci is, as I mentioned, the associate director, and you'll definitely be hearing from her. Her training is fantastic. Young Ben Weinstein is, well, maybe it's improper to say his age, but I think he's in mid-20s, and he is a recent graduate of Bryant. He was a grad assistant, and he did his MBA there, and he runs the STEP program. So we're excited to have young talent. And just to show you how fantastic we are, our part-time office coordinator has an MBA from Bryant and is a CPA. So we don't fool around. We believe in talent. Next slide. So we talked about, I mentioned World Trade Day. So that event is being rebranded this year. It's an inflection point, and it's being moved to September. But we're calling it now the Global Trade Summit. And I think this is a really fantastic conduit for manufacturers who are interested in doing business internationally to connect. There's a lot of emphasis being put into the event this year. We're bringing companies, international companies. It's going to have a bit of a C-suite feel to it, but we anticipate having hundreds of people globally coming to really celebrate how Rhode Island has become a regional thought leader in international business cluster dynamics. Next. So that's all I have. Ceci could go on for a long time and tell you the nuances of who are the eligible companies to receive STEP funds. I think generally speaking, it's $15,000 you can get over a grant cycle, 3 projects, not greater than 5. But believe me, these programs are transformative, and don't underestimate the fact that just a $5,000 grant can be transformative to your business. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. I think the way you started off by saying, if there's nothing else, remember, if you want to do business internationally and you're not working with the resources over at Chaffee Center, you should definitely reach out to them. I do know one of the programs that I hear most often about is the attending of conferences. So I don't know the details, but the point is the state can support you when you're attending international conferences to sell your services or your products. So they can help you with that. So you went from some folks who were pretty new to somebody who's been around a little bit of a long time. So, we want to say thank you to, of course, Christian Cowan for coming here. Many of you have worked with him and Polaris for so many years in the past. We're going to have Christian come up and say a few words about what Polaris is up to these days. Thank you, Christian.
Thanks, Secretary Tanner. I was sitting in my chair thinking, this is the save the best for last, and then I realized that I'm not last. So I think I'm neither. But thank you very much, Governor and Secretary Tanner, for pulling this all together. These are, I think, super important information sessions. Cheryl, thank you so much for opening the doors to TACO. And I also want to thank Leslie Tato here at TACO, who's been an incredible guidance and mentor to Polaris and me personally. So a lot of important people in the room to me. I appreciate it. You can go to the next slide. So a little bit of an introduction to Polaris. So I started here 10 years ago, which is what Liz was inferring there, which seems like forever ago. An introduction to what it is, because I even think there's a lot of people in the room that don't understand what we are. Polaris is a nonprofit. We're a 501c3. we are part of a national network. So the MEP network, the Manufacturing Extension Network, is under the US Department of Commerce. The US Department of Commerce back in the 1980s saw a lot of manufacturing companies start and then fail and start and then fail. They looked at the data and they decided to put a support network across the country. So we are one of 50 centers, 51 centers. We're one of 50 centers across the state, across the country, one in every state. So it's a little bit like senators, which is nice. So Rhode Island has the same voice and strength at a national level as California does. We have national meetings. We bring our voice of Rhode Island into a national stage, and we get national resources in exchange. So it is truly a unique and exciting model because we have the ability to bring some expertise there. What we do here in Rhode Island, we support and accelerate manufacturing technology-based economic development. I'm going to talk about how we do that through our programming with workforce. I'll talk a little bit about the workforce program that Director Weldon talked about. I will also talk about our supply chain services, which are really important these days, as well as spaces that we are working on and we run. So how we do this, we provide services in two different ways. We have a team of people with expertise, and when we don't have that expertise, we have partners that we partner with. That top picture, that's our team. That's one of the most important things for me. We have people on staff that have worked at submarine companies, furniture companies, safety products companies, food companies, advanced material companies. They're all on our staff. And what I always say is the best days are when I go into the office and there's nobody there, because that means everybody's deployed out in the companies. So we have engineers and manufacturing experts on our staff that go out and work with companies, and where they can supply services and when they can consult, they do. And when we don't have the expertise, we connect them into important partners. And we support all different kinds of companies. Brian's here from VR Industries, with PCB and electronics manufacturing, plastics companies. We help run the Rhode Island Textile Innovation Network. And the blue economy, as the governor mentioned and Secretary Tanner mentioned, is super important. I think the heart of the blue economy is in manufacturing, because if you look at all of the things that go into the blue economy, the buoys need to be manufactured, the sensors need to be manufactured, the materials that go undersea, the shells, the hulls, the cages, the new kelp farming beds that are anchored into they all need to be manufactured. So really, it's not all about manufacturing, but the heart of the blue economy is really about making next generation products that are able to survive the harsh ocean economy. Next slide. So a little bit about our workforce programming. Again, some of the stuff that we deliver ourselves. I will start by talking about the program that Director Weldon mentioned. I'm not going to go through all of these programs, but the Good Jobs Award just came through last week, was announced. That was connected into the Ocean Tech Hub that Commerce led. That is all about ocean technology manufacturing jobs. So metal machining, CNC operators, carbon composite technicians, marine trades, and robotics. We're fortunate enough that the Ocean Tech Hub really took our blue economy into a regional perspective. So we're partnering with New Bedford Research and Robotics to really provide robotics training to feed into the undersea robotics world that's growing like crazy. Dee Chatham's here from Gyro Robotics is living and dying that every day. So very excited about that. That is also clearly in strong partnership with the Real Jobs Rhode Island program. So Director Weldon's team, through tons of resources at that application, and from an execution standpoint, it for sure is going to leverage the strong Real Jobs Rhode Island program that we all like, and to make sure that this gets rolled out the right way to all the employers. And the most important thing about Real Jobs, and we built it into Good Jobs, is that it is employer driven. It's the most important thing. We act as an intermediary in between the state and the employers, but it really all needs to be employer driven. The other thing I'll talk about is the Bagley Skills Bridge. That is a super fun, interesting program to me. Dave Chenevert from IMRA has been right in the middle of it. The Rhode Island Textile Innovation Network at some point said, boy, it would be great if we could get some help training a young person. What happens is we have a lot of older people on our manufacturing floor that are getting ready to retire, but we can't afford to have two people working at the machine at the same time. Senator Whitehouse got wind of it. He had a congressionally directed spending grant that he awarded to us to fund the more experienced, more expensive person while they train that person coming up. Really exciting program. Again, RIMA's been right in the middle of that from a proposal and an execution standpoint as we roll that. So that is that application, and the information's up on our website. That's an exciting program as well. The other one that I'll talk about that is honestly, I think it'll sneak up on a lot of employers, is the ISO standard. ISO 9000 is updating in 2025. This happened in 2015. It also caught a lot of manufacturing employers by surprise. There will be updates. It hasn't been released yet. Polaris, a team of people that honestly I'm proud and humbled to work with every day. We have 3 ISO experts, meaning they worked at manufacturing companies in ISO systems that will be ready to help companies make the transition. It was a little struggle back in 2015. So we're trying to get the heads up and make sure that everybody understands that ISO is updating this year. So supply chain, this is a sensitive subject for everyone. I'll talk a little bit again about that connection into our national network. There are really 3 things that we're doing specifically with supply chain. We have the Center for Advanced Technology, where we, so Polaris here in Rhode Island, are leading a grant with other MEP centers across the country. That network that we're leading, and it's set up regionally in West, Southeast, Midwest, and East Coast, they all have, so Kayla Viveros is on our team leading the East Coast one, but also connecting across the country. So manufacturing companies here in Rhode Island have the ability to, make a request into this CATS program. Because of our national network and because of this additional grant that was given us to us by the NIST National MEP Network, we have resources across the country to go find really 2 main things. One is manufacturers that can help supply locally, and connection into these things called the manufacturing institutes, where these institutes were set up back in the Obama administration to do research and development on next generation products. So we've already had a couple real good successes on that. One is there's a local drone manufacturer that was looking for novel wings for their drones. We connected them into one of the manufacturing institutes that had this really unique lattice carbon composite wing that drone manufacturer is now trying to build into their. So really cool. That network across the country, super valuable locally. The other one, there's a polyurethane manufacturer that is looking for a way to better take advantage of scrap. So scrap is a super sensitive subject to all those that have lived in the manufacturing industry like me. So they have scrap that they're looking to find other ways with. This national network has connected them into people that can use their scrap, recycle it, and use it in their own process. So again, really valuable from a network reach out and a national reach out standpoint. The last one on that list is actually an exciting one. Is that picture from you? No. RI Made is a program that was funded by the Department of Defense. So that's Rhode Island. So getting back to Secretary Tanner's acronyms, it's Rhode Island's manufacturing to accelerate the defense ecosystem. It's not bad. Someone on our team is great at making up those acronyms. That is a program where we facilitate. So the Department of Defense has given us a grant to assemble a group of URI students. That group of URI students, and they're facilitated by one of the Polaris team members. They go into a company and they do an analysis of what the company's doing, what the needs are, what the shortcomings are, and projects that they think need to be implemented. That is all funded by the DoD grant. And then there's a phase 2 on that where the grant pays for technical assistance. If the company needs a new website, needs new marketing help, fine. But also that piece of equipment there was purchased with money coming out of that DoD grant. So again, thanks to Dave Chenevert and Rima, we really leaned into this ability or this need from manufacturing employers to invest in capital. Jim and Sully are here from Nautilus. Nautilus was one of the companies that went through our RMA program and also one of the most interesting, fastest growing companies in the state. I agree. And I know Jaya Robotics went through RMA too. Really exciting companies. We've done more than 15 so far. Application for that is also open on our website. Really good, again, provides URI student expertise from analysis and then money to implement, including capital purchase. Last slide. Thank you. So two exciting physical locations that I will talk about. One is we were awarded a $3.9 million EDA grant to build out space. We are targeting 50 Sims, which is near the Commerce RI building, near Farm Fresh across the street from the Steel Yard. That space, that EDA grant and funding from Commerce Rhode Island will fund that space to be business incubator, high-tech business incubator, think lab space, not office space, and community convening. We really pride ourselves into reaching into the community and connecting previously underserved communities into high-tech, high-paying jobs. That's what that space in 50 Sims will be. We also have space down at the Bay campus where Senator Whitehouse is, which is a high-tech incubator located on the water. Again, we're leaning into the blue economy really hard. So I think that's my last slide. Is that right? Yeah. So anyway, hopefully I got the message across about who we are and what we do. Again, our staff and our connections are at our heart and the most power we have. Please connect with us. I appreciate it. And thanks to the governor and Secretary Tanner for getting us all together. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Christian. You've always been a great partner to us. We will never forget our time during the pandemic, all the things that we had to do. So thank you very much. Now we're going to kind of open up for a couple of questions, and then Dave Chenevert's going to give us some closing remarks. But do we have any online that we want to try to address first, Chris?
So you only have one, so you must have answered a lot of them during the presentation. So you have a question in the Q&A. We're a small business manufacturer and government contractor. We're looking for some type of state or federal funded grants to support the increasing costs of subscription-based software licenses. So it's a question of saying everything's getting a lot more expensive, including the software related to cybersecurity. And they're just saying what's being done on the state level to help small manufacturers like us.
So I think the answer to that one is we'd love to hear more about what the concerns are. I don't think I've heard that necessarily. And so if we can connect Chris Canada to that person, we can try to have that conversation and find out what we have there. Any other questions in the room? Chris?
Just one more comment, Secretary. Thanks, Jim, for the reminder. We want to just mention that the Wavemaker Fellowship exists at Commerce, and it allows for any employee that you may have in your business that's carrying community college debt, a bachelor's or a master's, to apply for some offset tax credits to help with the cost of that student debt.
So I'll just do that real quick in the speaker so that essentially our Wavemaker Fellowship grant program is open again. Originally that was meant for your STAC graduates, but we also include some healthcare professionals as well as teachers. And so that application period is open right now. So if you have student loans and you meet certain qualifications, you'll be able to get some assistance there. You know, there was a lot here, right? I mean, like I said, acronyms, right? And I don't have the skill to make new acronyms, so clearly other people do to come up with things. But there was a lot in this today. And so this is why we're, again, encouraging you to have that relationship with Commerce, with all of our partners so that you can know what's going on. That's just this moment in time. Who knows what it'll be in 6 months or a year, right? So things change so often for all of us. We want to make sure that you're constantly being kept up to date. So this program will be available online. You will be able to kind of go back and use it as a reference. We'll ask Ryman to put out, Polaris to put it out, we'll put it out. We'll have it on our socials so that people can see stuff. But we do want to have Dave Chenevert come up, just say a few closing remarks, and then Governor, I don't know if you want something else too is at the end.
I'm good.
He's good. Okay.
Thank you, Liz. Governor, always a pleasure. I'm going to give you a quick tidbit that not many people know, but the governor and myself served on the Cowan Town Council, and I'm not going to say what year. It's going to show our ages, but we're not going to do that. So we go back a little ways. Reimer, the Rhode Island manufacturers, represents about 1,600 manufacturers in the state. we're pretty heavily involved in trying to put out fires or connecting dots. And we've done a decent job. One example was when we had COVID. Reimer was right in the middle of this, working with the state government, and we kept manufacturing open throughout that whole period. And it was important for us because we kept our economy going. And that is where manufacturers do. We support the economy of the state of Rhode Island. And I'm going to give some tidbits, some manufacturing fixes. I don't have programs, so I'm not going to go there. But I would say that my job as the executive director for the last 8 years, and prior to that, I actually worked for a living. I owned my own manufacturing company for 31 years. So I was able to transition, but yet still stay in manufacturing. And it's a passion of mine. I don't know, I enjoy it very, very much. And so we work very closely with Commerce, with Liz, Matt, we're on the phone probably at least once or twice a week on different things. Polaris is a partner in many ways. It's like I use this adage all the time, we're on a highway, they're in one lane, we're in another, but we're all going to the same spot, and that's to help manufacture. So we try to do that together, and I appreciate Christian's commentary. And says, you're right, Christian, they did save the best for last. So thank you. So I'm going to go over, I just want to give some stats to everybody. U.S. total manufacturing output exceeds $5 billion. The average annual compensation for manufacturers is $75,000. So we talk about increasing the level of income for our people. Manufacturing can help and do that. That's what we're about. They've never been shy. When I ran my company, I never hired anyone at minimum wage. I was always between $3 to $5 higher than the minimum wage because we wanted qualified individuals. The Rhode Island manufacturing economy is about $1.75 billion in manufacturing goods. Rhode Island manufacturers account for 9% of the total output in the state of Rhode Island. Rhode Island manufacturers account for 8.4% of the workforce, employing over 40,000 people. Taken alone, manufacturing in the United States would be the 9th largest economy in the world. For every dollar spent in manufacturing, another $1.89 is added to the economy. The highest multiplier that we've seen right now is they're actually adjusting it to $3.60 for each dollar for the manufacturing. The other thing is 2/3 of our manufacturers are organized as pass-through entities. And I'm just going to give the governor a little tidbit as far as was noted up there that the R&D tax credit was for C Corps. And I know we're not going to touch that this year. We got enough problems. So, but I'm hoping maybe next year we can take a look at that and see what that kind of impact would be on our budget and all that stuff. But S Corps account probably for 90% of the manufacturers in Rhode Island. So that would be a good thing for the manufacturing sector. Looking specifically at wages, the average manufacturing worker is more than $26.50 an hour. Over the next decade, nearly 3.5 million manufacturing jobs will likely be needed. And we anticipate that only 2 million will not get filled. And that's where we go to the skills, the training that we need to help these people get good jobs in the manufacturing sector. Manufacturers in the U.S. perform more than 3/4 of all private sector research and development R&D in the nation. So we drive more innovation than any other sector. So my final comment, because I know everyone wants to get going, but what was presented today was a quick overview that I am so proud to be part of, to see so many things available to help our manufacturers. And what happens is, and I always use the expression to former Governor Raimondo, that manufacturers predominantly have their heads in the sand and don't come up until they get bit. And I'm not going to say where, but that was the problem that I see all the time with the manufacturers. They're so intense on their own business and focusing on that, that sometimes they don't realize what we have to help them. And I try to do that. I get calls, I go contact Liz or talk to Matt, or Christian and I always talking together. One of the best examples I can say about the manufacturers is the COVID period. And I think Cheryl will relate to this one. When that happened, Reimer was like the center of the manufacturers trying to find out how do we tackle this problem. Cheryl would send some ideas and somebody else would send and it was like the whole manufacturing crew throughout the state just worked together and meshed. It wasn't competition then, it was about survival. And I thought I was so proud to say that I was part of doing that and using Reimer's resources to try to keep everyone working and going. So in all, I have to say that I'm so proud to see all this, but I want to thank the governor and Liz and Matt and everyone else, Christian also, that together we can really do better relative to our manufacturing operation. And I think the manufacturing sector could be a strong part of raising that level of income. So thank you this morning. Thank you very much.
So if we've missed anything that you would like to have learned more about, we can do this again. We can provide more information to you, so don't hesitate to let us know. Just want to say thank you all for coming. I want to say thank you to Cheryl, thank you to Leslie, thank you to Tato for having us and sponsoring us today. Again, those sweet treats are out there if anyone wants to take advantage of them, but thank you very much for being here today. Thank you so much.